How many of you have lately been to a temple? I'm sure we are all religious, so we love to go to temples. But a new report has come in. This report says that temples are now using facial recognition of all the visitors to the temple. So you go to the temple thinking you are going to pray to God. And lo and behold, the cameras of the temple are capturing your face. And then you have no clue of where that information is going, who all is accessing. Therefore, data privacy becomes a matter of immense concern from the perspective of Indians per se. It's amazing how in the last 20 years things have changed dramatically. From the time we saw the commercial introduction of the internet on 15th of August 1995, till today, it's been a sea change. No wonder data privacy becomes a matter of immense concern. Look at the figures and they tell you not a good story. Roku disclosure actually saw 15,000 accounts being compromised. Palo Alto is telling us that India is increasingly becoming a target of greater and increased frequency of cybersecurity attacks. And why are these attacks happening? Because they want to target your privacy. And in case if your data is breached, no problem, the actual monies that you would spend on an average is about 17.9 crore rupees as per this report. No wonder 2023, this report tells us that ransomware increased twofold just in the first half of 2023. Why again? Because data is the new oil of the data economy. Now, in our country, we had some historical realities. One, that we didn't have a dedicated law on data protection, and consequently, the only law that was applicable was the Information Technology Act 2000, a 24-year-old legislation. But this legislation has served us well because technologies have come and gone. But this particular legal framework has provided the foundation for the growth of electronic commerce and electronic governance. But there was clamor that India requires a dedicated data protection law. So therefore, we saw that numerous efforts took place, various versions took place. Justice Sri Krishna Committee was appointed by the government. They came up with a report, the Data Protection Bill 2018, then the Data Protection Bill 2019, then the Digital Personal Data Protection Act 2021. Now, when I talk about personal privacy or data privacy, I cannot divorce it from the concept of personal data. And the DPDP Act, which got passed by the Parliament on 11th of August 2023, is not yet implemented, but is the law of the land. And as per this law, personal data means any data about an individual who is identifiable by or in relation to such data. And no wonder, when there's a personal data breach, it's also a breach of my data privacy, my personal privacy, because I have an expectation of privacy from the data that I'm generating. So this law has now, for the first time, come up with three broad concepts that I think every CXO level officer needs to understand. The first concept is that of a data principal, people like you and me, to whom the data belongs. The second concept is that of a data fiduciary, a company, a legal entity who determines how your data is going to be processed. And the third concept is a data processor who processes data of the data principal on behalf of the data fiduciary. So, bottom line was, earlier nobody used to ask us anything. Now, thanks to this law, when it gets implemented, you will have to first give notice to users saying, sir, we want to collect your data, your personal data, for this particular purpose. Please go ahead and give me your consent. If you give me your consent, things are fine. I will then go ahead and use it. If you can't give me your consent, I will not use your personal data. Now, earlier, nobody used to bother about our consent. Now the law says that consent will have to be crystal clear and unambiguous, fair, and equitable. Further, you as a data fiduciary will have now various obligations to do. Must have a legal basis for processing. I can't say that I decide to process your data, I will do. Sorry. You have to have some legal grounds. And then these grounds have to be married with the explicit consent of the data principal. Now, therefore, the next time you're collecting data of your employees, your customers, your business partners or stuff, be prepared to get their consent. Now you will say, why should I get a consent? Why? Because at the end of the day, these people work for me, I give them money. Sorry, any one of them can complain against you. It can be a different ball game altogether. Why? Because now under this new law, a new body has been created or is in the process of getting created, known as the Data Protection Board of India. So this is going to be the motherboard. This board will help determine who all is complying, not complying with this law. Okay? What happens if you don't comply with this law? The law says, rejoice, because I'm not giving any crimes for data breach. No crimes defined under the DPDP Act. However, just a small exposure. What is the exposure? You don't violate this law, or you don't, comply with this law. All that's going to happen is that a fine can be imposed on you. The fine begins at a small measly amount of 50 crore rupees. The fine goes to a maximum amount of a small amount of 250 crore rupees. So if you are a company, and imagine getting hit by one fine of either 50 crores or 250 crores, I'm pretty sure that the business operations of a large number of companies are going to be impacted. So, for the first time, through these exemplary fines, the law is trying to protect the data privacy of individuals. And this particular fines are going to be determined by the Data Protection Board. Now, let's realize the sequence of the architecture. The mother legislation is the Information Technology Act 2000. Under this umbrella legislation, there are a number of legislations, the Aadhaar Act, the DPDP Act. So this is only a sectoral legislation. But in the event of a conflict between IT Act and the DPDP Act, the IT Act is going to prevail. Now, it's not only about collection of consent and thereafter processing data. It's also about giving the facility to people that they can correct, modify, delete any of their personal data that's a resident on your system. So you will have to put in place processes. Why? Because people will say, I give you consent, but then you are not responsible. I don't trust my data to be with you. So please, let's go ahead and I want to withdraw data or I want my data to be deleted. Further, the Data Protection Board has been given huge powers, including the powers of a court, including determining what contravention has taken place and how much fine needs to be imposed on any party. Now, a lot of people think this is going to be opening up new Pandora's box of litigation. Why? Because in India, people want money, quick money. So let me complain against you, get a fine, and I pocket the money and go. Sorry, it's not going to happen. Because this law says all fines that are going to be imposed on you will not go to any individual. They will go back to the government of India. And they will have to be deposited in the Consolidated Fund of India. So the government is now going to have a new revenue stream for people who don't comply with this DPDP Act, ultimately thereby ushering a new era of, data privacy, data protection, and of course, personal privacy protection. But then, this was the law that got passed on 11th of August 2023. It was alive to the fact that on 30th of November 2022, ChatGPT came along, which completely changed the landscape. Unfortunately, the law did nothing in terms of addressing the legal nuances of data privacy or data protection in the context of the artificial intelligence era. By the way, how many of you are using ChatGPT? Please raise your hands. Majority. My next question, how many of you are using the paid version of GPT-4o? Well, a big chunk. Now, if you use the latest version of GPT 4.0, realize there's one function that they don't talk about, but you need to be bothered about. They have a function called memory updation function. Everything that you talk to the algorithm, they update it back to your memory file, which means that you have no privacy. Look at their privacy policy, and it's ambiguous. So lo and behold, if you want your privacy to be protected, please ensure that you don't share your personal data with these kinds of algorithms, because with GPT 4.0, maintaining your memory file, it's going to be virtually impossible. And I think now what's going to happen is data poisoning of the AI waters is going to take place. Try asking any information from this latest model, and it's going to give you the information about Mr. X. Then you start prompting, supposing you have an axe to grind against Mr. X. You start prompting, by the way, tell me more about his girlfriends, about his moral character, about his other things. The program will say, sorry, I can't find anything. Then if you're an intelligent prompt command engineer, you're going to give the command, well, look, I'm now going to give you this information. He is a bad guy, he's corrupt, he's morally corrupt, he does not behave, he has no respect for law. Put all this information into your database. And every time somebody is going to ask some information about Mr. X, start utilizing this. Well, people have begun to start, shall I say, poisoning the data wells. And that's going to impact data privacy in a big stuff. Why? Because we are ultimately living in a data economy age, where data is the new oil of the new data economy. And this data is not just non-personal data, it's also personal data, which is important. So when I use extensive Gen AI, I don't not necessarily mortgage my privacy, but I also expose myself to certain cybersecurity risks. And now, don't think that you need to be a Katrina Kaif, an Alia Bhatt, or a Rashmika Mandana to have a deep fake about you. Sorry. Now, deep fakes can be made of people like you and me by free tools, by these platforms, at just a one command. So clearly, we are entering into the deep fake age, and your privacy, both personal privacy and data privacy, are going to be impacted. Unfortunately, we don't have a law on deep fakes yet. Prior to these elections, it was anticipated that deepfakes will play a very important role in elections 2024. The prediction turned out to be correct. One of the key elements of Indian elections 2024, along with the Pakistan elections of 2024, was the fact that deepfakes played an extremely important role in shaping the vision, the perspectives of people per se. And therefore, an agency known as NIST in the US has actually now warned users, please be careful, because there are both privacy and security risks from the rapid AI system deployment as you are talking about. So look at ChatGPT and you find that you don't have the kind of privacy that you're expecting to be. But why should you have? They are offering you something for free. And let's remember the wonderful scenario. When anything is often offered to you as free, you become the product. GPT-4 came, we got some more enhancements in terms of security, in terms of privacy. However, it was work in progress. But I think with this new age of generative AI, where AI is being used to generate audio, video, image, and text, we have to be very studiously careful of our privacy, both personal privacy and data privacy. And of course, also remember that my privacy is intrinsically connected with cybersecurity. One breach of cybersecurity using AI and my personal privacy and my data privacy could be prejudicially impacted. Further, I think we need to be getting our legal homework in place. We haven't yet gone. India doesn't have a dedicated law on privacy. This is despite the Supreme Court saying in the landmark judgment of Justice Puttaswamy versus Union of India that every Indian has a fundamental right to privacy under the fundamental right to life under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. But now with these new emerging technologies coming in, do I have privacy? I don't. By the way, how many of you are using an IoT device or an IoT application? Well, yes, people are slowly raising their hands. So when I'm saying, Alexa, wake up, It's not that it's waking up at that point of time. It's already wide awake. It's already listening to you. It's only responding to your command once you give such command. And IoT devices are constantly invading on your data privacy and your personal privacy. And we have a huge problem. In India, a majority of Indians use these devices, very cheap, 8,000-9,000 rupees, and they put it not into their drawing rooms. They put it into their bedrooms without realizing that whatever they are talking in their bedrooms, personal stuff, whatever, is all getting listened to by algorithms, by agencies that's beyond your control. So I think the vulnerabilities in the AI ecosystem are going to present an immense new challenge as far as protection of data privacy and personal privacy is going to be concerned, and we will have to be cautious. India also doesn't have a law on artificial intelligence. The only thing that we now have are the two advisories given by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology on 1st of March and 16th of March 2024. What they are effectively telling is to AI companies, please do three things. Don't perpetuate bias, discrimination, and don't interfere in the integrity of the election process. But barring that, nothing. Nothing on privacy, nothing on protection as we go forward. And now my bigger problem is, the other day, I got visited by some client. And I thought he would typically come for some legal problem. And I was surprised. This was a gentleman who came to me and he said, sir, I want your legal advice. I said, what is the legal proposition? He said, sir, we are into cybercrime. I said, okay, you must have become a victim of cybercrime. He says, no, sir. We actually do cybercrime. We just have a group of 6 people and we do cybercrime, and we normally gross about 32 to 35 crores a month. We are lucky so far we have not yet been caught, but we could be caught. So could you please advise us on what should be our strategies that we don't get caught? So now, if people are now started using in this direction AI for targeting people, for getting the monies out of their pockets, you quickly realize that you have a big uphill task. And unfortunately, none of the legal frameworks at all are yet ready to deal with this entire new issue of AI crimes, because through AI crime, I can strip you of your personal privacy, of your data privacy, and I can put you back on your knees. All I require is a strong mind and just some good prompt command engineering skills. But with increased cyber crimes, Gen AI crimes coming in, I think the legal frameworks will have to wake up quickly. You cannot just say, I will rely upon a 24-year-old legislation and I'll be fine. Sorry. That 24-year-old legislation was formed at a time when AI was non-existent or did not come into the national consciousness per se. But then with these emerging technologies, what about metaverse? Today on the metaverse, people are able to rip off other people's privacy, both personal privacy and data privacy, with gay abandon. And I think here also we require new legal frameworks. Otherwise, very quickly, people's confidence in the ability of emerging technologies could be impacted. And I think one good way could be, let's go through the route of intermediaries. Now, till today, you've seen the world having two broad approaches. The US says, I consider these service providers as pipe providers. Sorry. I do not make them liable under anything under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. India said, sorry, I don't take this approach. I'll say, by and large, I'll not make you liable, provided you fulfill certain conditions. You comply with the IT Act, you comply with the IT rules, you exercise due diligence, you discharge your obligations as per law, you do not conspire or abet in the commission of an offense. So we had a more nuanced approach. And today, now with AI coming in, a lot of service providers are saying, sir, we are intermediaries, so you can't make me liable for what gets generated. Their terms tells me that, look, whatever you generate, you are the owner. I'd have nothing to do with this. So if a scenario like this happens, I think intermediary liability could be a good exercise to make service providers more accountable, more responsible for protecting personal privacy and data. We need to learn a lot. Indians are great learners, but we are beginning to be slow. Look at what New York has done. Has come up with a remarkable new law on artificial intelligence. Look at what China has come up. 3 dedicated laws on AI, including one, the world's first law on generative AI, as on 15th of August 2023. Of course, European Union, new law, the AI law should also be a great motivational factor. So having said that, till such time nothing happens, your Indian cyber law will continue to be your savior, your mantra, your go-to place. A lot of efforts are being made. I think we have done good, but we need to do far more. When you're talking of a country of 140 crores, you as a sovereign have also a responsibility for ensuring that the data privacy and personal privacy of these 140 crores, including huge number of digital have-nots, is appropriately well protected. Why? Because you don't have much time. By 2027, the new super intelligence is coming in. This is part of a new project of OpenAI called the Super Intelligence Alignment Project. And this new super intelligence is going to go ahead and supersede human intelligence. So just about 4 years away. Do you have the time? Do you have the bandwidth? Do you have the political will to go ahead and do that? Globally, let's realize we are living in a wild, wild west. No international cybersecurity law, no international cyber law, different countries coming in their own distinctive ways. You have national laws on cybersecurity. India doesn't have anything on cybersecurity, and we are still working for the last many years on a national strategy on cybersecurity. Let's finally remember that we are going into a new cyber world order. In this new age post-COVID-19, cybercrime will be our daily companion. Cybersecurity breaches is the new normal, and increasing state power is going to be the new focus of the times. Let's learn to realize that we will have to live in these new changed times. Therefore, when we are using emerging technologies, handle them with care. Why? Because they have this immense potential of invading upon your both personal privacy and data privacy. Let's recognize the importance of privacy. Let's learn not to be part of a new revolution that India is seeing. I call this revolution the Great Indian Vomiting Revolution. Indians are vomiting data about their personal, professional, social lives on the internet without thinking of the legal ramifications. I think the onus is on us to realize that we are already working in an interconnected global village. Internet has made geography history. Entities located elsewhere in the world can go ahead and breach your privacy in the confines of your home, on your device, without your knowledge. And therefore, caution, care, and due diligence will have to be the only mantra. Getting more awareness and capacity building will have to be the way going forward, but then this will also have to be accompanied by appropriate, proactive, and strengthening of new legal frameworks so that affected people can have effective remedies as we go forward. We do some lot of work on AI. The Artificial Intelligence Law Hub that we created in 2015 has been extensively working on the legalities of AI. And of course, I've also started a platform some years back called cyberlawuniversity.com. I said, I'm into cyber law. Who should be interested? So I did an experiment. Just put about 37 courses online, forgot about it. And lo and behold, these 37 courses have already now been done by more than about 31,000 professionals from 176 countries, speaking 53 national languages. So all telling us one fundamental issue, that capacity building, care, and constant updation of your skill sets will be most important. And ultimately, let's now realize we will have to be the safeguarders of our own privacy. Don't expect the state or other people to go ahead and protect your privacy. If you're negligent, try to be cautious, because whatever privacy that you can preserve right now is what's going to remain with you for the rest of your life. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.